Good evening, and welcome back to Restoration Lounge with Dr. K. After Hours with Dr. K. It's 10 p.m. The house is quieter now, but for many couples, this is when the distance becomes more noticeable. Tonight, we're talking about something that doesn't get said out loud: resentment after marriage. I'm sorry, correction, resentment in marriage after kids. I am a couples therapist, right? I'm a marriage and family therapist. Um, and I hear this a lot. I get this one a lot about just not getting enough help. Um, the partner is not, you know, doing his weight in helping with the household chores, with the kids, etc. So this is something that is real. It's something that a lot of couples are experiencing, and it's something that needs to be talked about. So tonight we're talking about something that doesn't get said enough. Not because people don't love each other, but because life changed. And somewhere along the way, the relationship did too. I'm a firm believer that a lot of times we um, we can't, a lot of things that we want, we don't know how to verbalize. And so that's why we don't always get what we need. And I apologize. One moment. I have people trying to get in the room. 1 minute. I apologize. Okay. And so a lot of times people are not able to verbalize what they need, right? And so unmet expectations go on, and over time, people get angry or upset because they feel like no one's listening, no one sees me, things are going amiss, right? And so, and that can be both partners, that's men and women, that's not just women. And so, I think it's important that being able to verbalize what you need is key. Um, Resentment in marriage after kids often doesn't start as anger, right? Most people are excited to have kids and make a family and grow together. So I think a lot of times what happens is those conversations around what happens after the kids doesn't aren't had right in the beginning in the early stages. And so once kids arrive, and they may arrive sooner than expected, right? Or maybe you had some difficulties um, conceiving and things like that. And so therefore, um, people get kind of lost in the moment or in the expectation or in the weight of having kids. And then one thing that happens is we oftentimes um, look to the mother, look to the mothers to hold the weight, correct? And so I don't know if that's, I don't want to do a blame game, but I don't know if that's a grandmother's type fault where we saw them hold down the family. We saw them take care of the family and cook 3 meals a day and took care of the kids while the father was away working, or when he came home, he sat on the couch in front of the TV and unwind and, took his shower and went to bed while the mother held the weight of the family down and never opened her mouth and asked for help. Or if she did, maybe she got ignored, maybe he did a little something and then went on his way. So I think a lot of what we see, and I think a lot of what men see, is that their mothers and grandmothers and aunts and people like that did it. So it's just expected that the woman does it. And long as they provide, if they're a provider, then what's the problem? And that's a problem for a lot of people. I think a lot of women. So those are some issues that I definitely experience in marriage couples is that a lot of women are just like literally he's absent. He's he's not available physically or mentally. Um, and I'm exhausted of doing everything, especially if the wife or the woman or the mother also has to work a job and then come home and see after the entire family, the house, and all of those things. So, all of these things lead to resentment over time, right? One person feeling like they're carrying more weight than another, emotional, physically, and mentally. And I've seen it where kids, they can be with both parents, and the father is right there, and the kids still go to the mother, or wait on the mother to do whatever they want, right? And so, what happens is the people have taught each other have taught the kids how to respond to them, right? The father has taught them how not to respond to them, how not to ask them for anything. Because guess what? He probably just gonna sit there and say, "Go ask your mother," or he doesn't do it the way that mother does, and so therefore they're like, "No, I go to mom because she knows how to do it," right? And so I don't want to make it sound like there are not single fathers out here because there are, or there's not fathers that carry their weight because there definitely are fathers that carry their weight. I would love to hear from both because I hear comments from men all the time too. Like, I work all day, I come home, I cook, I take care of the kids, she lays on her butt. Right? So it definitely goes both ways. I don't want this to be a man bashing show because that's not my intention. Not at all. That's not my intention at all. So here we're going to talk about imbalance, right? It starts when one person is feeling like they're carrying more and the imbalance isn't acknowledged. Um, it slowly turns into resentment, right? People get angry, they're upset. They're trying to figure out, why am I a single mother in a marriage? I have heard so many people say that. I am literally a single mother and married because I can't get my husband to help me. I can't get my partner to help me. I can't get my mate to help me. And when the imbalance isn't acknowledged, right, it turns to resentment, not because love is not there, but because the effort doesn't feel equal. And so, oftentimes, the women start feeling like they have another child to care for, you know, and you hear that often. She treats me like a child. She talks to me like a child. No, you act like a child. And that would be the comment. And so, um, people will often say, I'm not trying to treat him like a child, but he acts like a child, right? And so then there's that shutdown that happens because no man wants to feel like a child. No man wants to feel like he's talked to like a child or he's treated like a child. But the woman is also so frustrated that what comes out is anger as opposed to communicating effectively. So I see some people coming in the room. All right, so let's talk about what is resentment. Resentment. Resentment is unexpressed expectation over time, right? It's unexpressed expectations over time. It's not always what your partner is doing, it's sometimes what you feel you're doing alone, right? And parenthood shifts that relationship more than anything else. You can have financial problems, you can have communication problems, you can have in law problems, but nothing shifts this quite like parenthood, right? And so people don't fall out of love overnight. They disconnect gradually. They gradually disconnect. There's a slow burning, if you so to speak, right? And so people often get to a point where they start they either one ask for what they need or two they don't ask, right? And they assume that the other person sees them and why aren't they stepping up? And then anger builds in, right? Resentment starts coming up for them because it's like, I know they see me. I know they see me. They see me, you know, um, fussing with the kids, fighting with the kids, trying to get dinner done, trying to get homework done, um, getting them ready for bed. They see me. Why aren't they helping me? They're sitting right there watching me fuss and fight, and they're not stepping up. So eventually, anger starts coming out, right? You start yelling and screaming because you're frustrated and you're agitated and you're exhausted. And so you start screaming and hollering as opposed to communicating. And what that does is makes the other person what? Shut down. Why are you screaming at me? I didn't know. I don't know what you need, right? If you don't talk to me, I don't know. And so a lot of people end up going to bed angry, frustrated, tired, because again, they're not getting their needs met. So I see some people coming in. I also believe I have some other people on some other platforms. So do me a favor, drop me a one in the chat, or if you have ever been in a relationship that made you resentful, especially after having a kid, right? One. And again, this is supposed to be an interactive show. It's supposed to be a call-in show. We haven't quite worked out the call-in line number. But this is not supposed to be just a me talking, right? This is supposed to be an interactive show with um, people coming up or people talking and expressing their experiences or sharing their stories. Um, and we're here. This is not therapy, but it is a place where you can get maybe some resources and some tools. Again, this is supposed to be interactive. We're working on like a call in number where you can call in and ask your questions and, you know, make your comments and things so you don't, I'm not necessarily doing all the talking. All right, so let's see. I have a few people here. Um, has your relationship changed since having kids? Anybody? I know that some people are divorced, some people are not married, some people don't have kids, some people have nieces and nephews, some people have godchildren, some people sisters, little sisters and brothers, right? So we can kind of broaden it a little bit in the sense of, do you see resentment in other people's marriage when kids are involved? Number one, or two, have you experienced this in any relationship where resentment built up for you? If so, drop a one or a two. Okay, somebody said their kids are grown, but they can relate to the resentment, right? Somebody said drop everything and go for a walk. That's sometimes easier said than done, right? So if you have smaller kids and you are the primary, well, I guess you're not the primary caretaker. If you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be the primary caretaker anyway. But you know, I'm glad you said that because I believe that sometimes if we teach people how to treat us, then we can get what we need, right? And so a lot of times we don't get what we need from our partner because we won't stop doing it, right? We won't get out the way. And so we're angry and we're upset with them because they won't do what we need to do. But sometimes you need to get out the way and let them do it and let them see that, like, hey, it's a lot. So jump in here and help me. And that may happen by you stopping, dropping everything, and to go for a walk and leaving them there to manage the kids. Not babysit their kids because they're theirs, but take care of their kids, right? So I can agree with that in a sense. Depending on what's going on, and if you have the opportunity to do that, stop everything, go for a walk, right? Let them let them have some time with their kids. Let the kids get to know them on a different in a different space as a parent and child, and not as the maybe not as the parent that goes to work and pays for everything, or not as the parent that um the fun parent, right? And so I think that's important. That's good. Another thing is maybe taking some mommy weekends off. Yeah, hey, this weekend I'm not doing anything. I'm going out, or I'm going away with my girls, or I'm going to get me a room just by myself so I can sleep, right? And let them have at it. Because I think a lot of times we make it look easy. So I don't think they understand sometimes what truly goes into keeping a house and taking care of kids and thinking about everything that comes along with that, right? Like you always have to be a step ahead or try to be a step ahead. Planning lunches, planning trips, field trips, packing and getting clothes out the night before and things like that. Like I think that sometimes they don't understand like what it takes to be the person who has to think ahead like that. And I'm looking at I'm looking at what's happening in the news, right? I don't know if you all are paying attention, but I'm looking at how a lot of women have been, and I'm sure this has happened over time. We just have more exposure, right? But women are really, really young women are hurting themselves and their kids. And so, I mean, killing themselves and their kids, or killing their kids, and going to jail. And it says a lot to me about how much we expect women to carry, and we don't step up. Like, if you're a father, whether you're married or not, if you're the baby's daddy, you in their life in any way, if you see that your partner or your kid's mother is having difficulty, it should be the responsibility that someone steps up and helps. It should not be expected that they should figure it all out on their own. The same thing for the village, right? The grandparents, the aunts, the godparents, the friends. If you see this person is truly having a hard time, why do we place so much emphasis on the woman getting it together and being the one that figures it out as opposed to anybody stepping in and help, right? I think that's a I, I think that's an issue. And then the woman goes to jail for life and we blame them. They're just, why would they hurt that baby? Why would they hurt that child? Because they probably cried out for help many times and people told them to just figure it out, suck it up. This is just what happened. This is just being a mother. And I don't think that's fair. I would love to hear y'all comments around that. I know we kind of shifted a little bit, but it's still about resentment, right? After the kids may not necessarily be in marriage. Even in marriages, though, women are killing and hurting their children, and the partner is, at work or on a trip or whatever, and that person is left there to handle everything by themselves, and it's not fair. I don't know where this well, yes, I do. But in society, we have to do a better job of helping women, I believe, and we don't do that. We kind of throw them out in the boat and expect them to figure it out. Put on a life vest, put the kids on a life vest. You figure out how to maneuver the sharks, how to keep the boat afloat. Like you're supposed to figure it out, how to feed them, how to keep them safe, and at the same time you're spiraling. And I don't think that is necessarily fair. Should they go to jail? Absolutely. However, there should also be some responsibility from the people who are also that should be helping them, and that to me is the fathers. I mean, we love to shame and blame mothers for not being a good mother, not doing it right, whatever. This is my experience and how I see things. So I would love to hear how you all feel about that as well. Because I'm watching the news and I'm like, So many women are are getting caught up in, going to jail for hurting their kids. And I'm saying, where are the fathers? We don't expect the fathers to do anything. And then they get on the news and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know," and she was always crazy, or she was always this. No, 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 no. And if that's the case, why you making babies with them? Why you leaving babies with them? If that's your true thought of them. So again, you should have some responsibility there. Now, I got off on a little tangent, but if anybody want anybody want to help chime in there, I would love to hear you. I see a few people in the room. You can come up. Again, we are talking about um we're talking about resentment in marriage after kids, but again, it doesn't have to be after marriage. It can just be resentment after kids. Let's do that, right? Anybody want to come up? Let me know. I don't know about that one. Someone said, I think a lot of women don't show weakness, so they don't always know. You mean the village don't know, or the fathers don't know, or nobody knows? You don't think that anywhere along the line that people didn't see fragments of this person coming apart? Um, I'm asking. Maybe, disheveled hair, disheveled clothes. Um, what else? Not answering the phone, not able to get in touch with them. Um, Low level depression, almost maybe major depression at some point, where they're just, barely hanging on. Kids may look good, but they don't. I'm just curious what you think when you say, or what you mean when you say a lot of women don't show weakness, so people don't know. You want to come up? You don't have to turn your camera on. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so again, we're talking about resentment. Okay, so again, resentment grows in silence, right? Communication doesn't fail because people don't care. It fails because people are tired. They're exhausted. I mean literally exhausted. And so sometimes you don't have the words to verbalize what you need. Sometimes you can't speak it, right? You don't know what you need. You just know you need something. Okay. And so that could be one thing why they don't know. Maybe she's not able to verbalize what she needs. Number two is um, a lot of times at the point of frustration, right? It comes out as anger, right? Because you've held it in so long, you pushed it down, or maybe you just like, again, they don't see me over here struggling. And so by the time you open your mouth and voice what you need, or try to, it comes out as anger. And then people shut down around that as well because they just like, why you screaming? Why you hollering? What's wrong with you? Right? Why you didn't tell us this what you need? I thought I've been saying this all along. And so I can only imagine for mothers and people with special needs kids, or people with disabilities. You think about it now, like more kids are being diagnosed with autism and behavioral problems. So if you are that parent who's getting called off the job, I had a conversation with a parent yesterday about that, getting called off the job constantly, right? Threatening of losing your job because your child is constantly getting in trouble at school, or acting out, or having difficulties, whatever. And you're the main source, That's a lot. That's a lot, right? And so who helps them? Again, I'm just asking, who helps them? We know that there's supposed to be resources out here, but that's not always the case, and that's not always available. And so, and while the job may be understanding to a point, you can't get called off your job 10 times a month and expect to not lose your job, right? And so those are things to think about as well. So if you're the parent that's always being called, even in a marriage, if you're the parent that's always being called because dad can't be disturbed or mom can't be disturbed, you're the person that always has to leave and go handle the crisis. How does that work? How does that work for you? And so things like that I think about often, right? Because I see it. I see it on the regular. I hear it on the regular. Um, Parents, family, mothers, grandmothers. Um, I see a lot of grandmothers stepping up now. I do see a lot of grandmothers, but that's a lot on them. So, things like that. So, somebody raise their hand, come up, talk to me so I don't talk to myself. Anybody? I think it's a good conversation. We're having a great conversation tonight about resentment. Anybody? Can I bring you to the stage? One second. All right. So let's see what we have here. Oh, okay. But okay. So you don't have kids. I get it. But you see people, right, who maybe experience these things. And the reason I'm saying that's because, again, it may not be necessarily your kid. Could be your godkids. It could be your nieces and nephews. It could be your, um, somebody that you help at church or you see around the neighborhood and you kind of just be like, oh my gosh, have you ever been outside and you see a parent all the time and you be like, oh my God, they have a hard time with that kid. And then you go on back in their house, right? And so just think of what they're experiencing if you could see that from just seeing them walk down the street one time a day, what they're experiencing in their actual home with these kids. And so, um, because we can see it. We're like, oh my God, they're a handful. And so, how do we, if we do anything, because sometimes you can't help everybody. I agree, you don't get into everything. But what, if anything, can we do to be the village again? I think we have to get back to the village. I'm going to give this example while waiting to see if somebody wants to come up. But moving to Georgia as a single parent, uh, I had two small kids. I waited until my kids were in school before I moved because I did have a village back home, right? I had my mother, I had my grandparents, they had their fathers and grandparents and all those people to help. So I had a very, very large village from where I came from. So to move to Georgia alone was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because one, I had never done this alone, and two, I was completely by myself. Now, my cousin moved with my cousin and I moved to Georgia together. But she was married and she had a child, so it was a little different, right? And even though we would kind of help each other with the kids, kind of offset, babysitting and things like that, it still wasn't the same because I, again, never had been completely, totally alone, responsible for my kids. It was so hard, y'all. That was the hardest 2 years of my life. Um, I believe I cried every day going to work and coming home because it was so overwhelming trying to figure out what they gonna eat for lunch, what they gonna wear to school, how we gonna survive, how we gonna have gas for the week, how we gonna, it was. I can see how people say we just do better if we leave here. I truly understand that. I can I never was in that space, thank God, but I do understand how a person can get so overwhelmed, especially if this is something that you do day in and day out. Again, I had help. My kids went to their grandparents or their fathers every break. As soon as school was out, they were on the plane, so I did get that space. Some people never get that. Some people never get a break. This is their life 24/7, 365, every day. Just thinking if they're homeschooling or, they got small kids and the big kids go off to school, it's always something going on all the time. Like, how do we help them? How do we extent of olive branch without overexerting ourselves, without putting ourselves in a position that we overstep, but at the same time offer some resources and some tools. And don't get me wrong, I get it. It's so many variables to this thing. It's so many ways this thing could go. I get it. But I believe that a lot of times what happens is we just leave them on to their own devices. And who suffers? The kids. The kids suffer. The kids suffer the most. Not saying that the parent doesn't suffer, but the kids suffer the most. And that to me is heartbreaking, right? Now I'm older now, and it's hard for me to be around a bunch of little small kids. I'm just going to be honest. It's a lot of noise. I'm set in my ways. I am. I am. I can do a couple of hours, but I don't know if I can do all day. Even my grandkids, like I love my grandkids. I have grandkids. We have a good time together. But do they exhaust me? Absolutely. But so I can only imagine that 24/7 for parents, right? And so does that make sense? Does that help? I know you may not have kids, but does that help when you think in terms of your nieces, your nephews, things like that? Y'all leave me hanging tonight, huh? I was trying not to think. I try not to call people names because I don't know if you want to remain anonymous or not, so I want to respect your privacy. Um, I'm just thinking that again, um, many of the people that I see in the chat, I have some type of knowledge about them. I know something about them, right? So I know that they participate in other people, helping other people with kids, especially smaller kids, right? And they are stepping up and they're doing the part. And so I guess what I'm asking you is, since you are participating in helping your family, right? Okay. So Kenya, I'll use you. She said I can use her name. Right? So you have your god kids and you do a lot with them. You help them out, you help the parents out, things like that. Um I know that I I'm assuming that I know that they appreciate you very much, right? Because it's a lot and I don't know if it's 3 or 4 of them. And so and I don't know how the parenting relationship is. I believe they're a married couple. I don't know how their relationship is, but do you see where sometimes it's all one person maybe doing all the work and opposed to both people working together jointly to make sure that the house is ran, the kids are cared for, things are running as smoothly as possible. Okay. Okay. So mostly the father that's doing everything. See, again, I can't do male bashing because a lot of times the men are picking up the weight. Um, so is that because of depression or some mental health issues, or is that because of laziness, or is that because of he's allowing it? Um, that's a good question, right? That's a good question. Like sometimes, again, we teach people how to treat us. And so, if you're the person, male or female, who's in this position where you feel like I am not getting the help that I need or want, is it because you won't stop doing it and get out the way? Or is it because you feel the person is not going to do it the way you do it or do it correctly? Or is it that they just won't do it? uh, uh, now, see, she just said, he allows it to keep her from getting angry. I've referred her to you. Ma'am, you're funny. Oh, gosh. The question is she ready for me? Is she ready for me? Honestly, because um, a lot of people say they want help, but a lot of people are not ready to do what's necessary to get help. And if it's working for her, why change? Right? If it's working for her, or if it's working for anyone, why change? A lot of times we do things, we continue to do things because it's working for us in some way, right? Or it's working for us, or again, it's no one else to do it. One of the two. And so if you're in a relationship, a partnership, and one person is doing more than the other in some areas, it's working for you. And they're not holding your feet to the fire and making you change. Guess what? It's working for you. It's working for them too, though, because there's some level of control there. Am I right? There's some level of one upness there that makes them continue to do what they do. Otherwise, they would not do it. And the reason I know that is because when you get sick and tired of something, guess what you do? You make a change. You make a change. So I believe to how do you help her by helping? How do you help them by helping her? I believe that. Um, okay, so she said that the mother is getting more depressed and distant, and that's what I was wondering. Was there some sort of form of depression there, right? I believe that you can help them by one, sitting them down and finding out what each other needs are, right? What does he need and want? What does she need and want? And figuring out how to find a middle ground there. Number two is she has to deal with the depression, right? She has to figure out where this is coming from and how am I going to get better, because it's not going to get better by adding more to her. That's not going to happen. Number three is he has to step back and require a little bit more from her, allowing her to do things. Again, I think that sometimes, especially I use women a lot because women are usually more in a controlling, right? A controlling mode than men, right? In the sense of the way they want their house, the way they raise their kids, the way we want things done. And so if he can step back and allow her to step in a little bit more, hey, I'm leaving out. I'm going to. Whatever. I'm going to Home Depot. I'll be back in an hour. Right? That gives her no option but to get up and deal with the kids. Mm. So when you say distant, I guess I need to know what that means. Distant from him? Distant from the kids? How you distant from the kids if he stepped back? You may have to come up. Now, if she is in a space where she's about to harm them or harm herself, then absolutely he has to step back in, right? But a lot of times, again, it looks uncomfortable. And so what we do, we jump back into it. Oh, she don't know what she's doing. Oh, she's hurting them. Oh, they're crying, right? So we'll immediately jump back in because we don't like the uncomfortableness of it. And so instead of giving it time to kind of work itself out, we jump back in and say, I knew I had to do it, right? I knew it wasn't going to work, things like that. And so sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it takes a little more than a minute. And a lot of us don't have that patience, right? Because we are, let me just do it to get them quiet. Let me just do it. Ma'am, you're going to have to come up because can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all into it, but when you started talking about the kids, I was like, wait a minute, this may be the only help I can get for her. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I can hear you.
So, when you say distant, what does that mean, distant?
So, like, if he has in the past tried to step back to, like, allow her to be more involved with the kids, she'll totally withdraw, like, go in a room and close the door. And then he's just left to do everything. So, of course, now he has no other choice because they're hungry or they're asking for whatever. And I don't think it's so much that she doesn't love them.
Mhm.
I think that somewhere she's overwhelmed because I don't think that's natural or normal, which
Mhm.
is why I try to get her to like talk to somebody. So it's not just me because I don't always want to feel like I'm the friend who's bashing her,
Mhm.
or questioning her parenting. But as their godmom, I'm there, so I pay attention to a lot. And she'll take information from me, but I don't think she knows how depressed she is, if that makes sense.
It does. It does make sense. So let me ask you a question. If he left her alone with the kids, would she get up and feed them?
Yes, yes,
Would she watch them until he came back?
yes. Has
Okay.
she not done those things before?
Mhm.
She has been guilty of doing them before. She hasn't done it recently.
What you mean? You left them alone while he was gone, like to their own by themselves?
Not necessarily alone, like just walked away
Mhm.
and yeah, just walked away.
Okay, walking away is fine. Does she stay away?
No.
Okay. So that means she does and she is capable, right?
Hmm.
Again, she doesn't do it because she doesn't have to. She knows that he's going to be like, if I go in this room and close the door, he's going to do it.
I see what you're saying.
I all I got to do is give them 5 minutes. He going to and let them cry. He's
You
going
know
to
what?
do it.
You know what? That's true because the plan is they're supposed to share, like you do food, I do baths, whatever that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it always ends up that he ends up doing all of it.
Everything.
Right. And then it was just like she'll just be in the room. I'm just like, wow, must be nice, to
Does she
be able to.
does she work?
They both do.
Okay, they do work a job. Okay, so that's why they're trying to share the responsibilities so they can
Hmm.
both relax, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
So okay, wait a minute. So you think that part of that, or possibly could be doing it because she knows he'll do it. Well, I guess that is it. But do you think that is depression or laziness? Is what that's the
It could
question
be
I have.
both. It could be all of it. It really could. It could be a it could be depression, definitely. It could be laziness, but it's also um
I guess my
convenience.
thing is what I notice is like when there is depression though, it's mostly towards them, not him.
Mm.
Like it's like
So
I
it's
feel
like
like they get
selective depression.
well, I don't even know what to call it, but I'm just saying like they tend to take the brunt of the distance, if that means
Yes,
anything.
that makes sense. But they're small, right? So they're very
4,
energized. They got
6, 8. Yeah.
so they're active, they're energized, they're busy. Her mental space may not be able to handle all of that adrenaline, right? And
Hmm.
so, and not to hurt them or to hurt herself, she distanced herself, right?
Okay.
Because it's overwhelming to her. It's too much. And
Hmm.
so I'm assuming, I don't know who this person is, I'm assuming that this is
Hmm.
part of it. And so um she checks out,
But this is my
right?
question though, and I'm not trying to be because I know you said we're not doing the male female thing, but he never gets a chance to check out. So when is that addressed and how is that showing up? Because like I said, he doesn't get to check out
Hmm.
like
Right.
at all.
He doesn't get to check out because he won't allow himself to check out. Because he's
Okay.
so concerned that she's not going to do what's needed, right? He feels if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. She's going to, whatever, go in the
Not
room,
just
she's
not
going to
do it. Yeah,
neglect
just not do
them,
it.
or, you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm sure at this point he's built up a routine of how he does things with them. They have
Yeah.
a routine.
Yeah.
And when that routine doesn't look like yours, you think it's wrong, right? And
Gotcha.
so a lot of people be like, well, that's not how we do it, and that ain't the way they eat, or that ain't the way I cut up their food, or that ain't the way I get them a bath. Do you want help or you want to
No,
do it?
she no, it's not that. It's not picky. She don't care. Like no, it's not
You
that. Like I
said
said,
he
cause
don't care or she don't
no,
care.
I'm saying no, like cause I was meticulous. So I'm meticulous like that, like wherein it's like I don't let my husband wash dishes because I don't like the way he
Right,
wash dishes.
right.
That's not
Hmm.
it. It's no, she just doesn't do it. It's
She
not
just
about
won't do it.
no,
Hmm.
yeah, no.
Okay, so
She's not. She matter of fact, she prefers the way he does it.
okay, she prefers the way he does it.
Hmm.
Right? Why wouldn't I prefer the way he do it? Cause he do
Oh,
it.
okay.
You got me.
Well, okay, okay,
I
okay.
like the way you do it too. Go do
Okay.
that, honey. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is this may be, postpartum that was never addressed. Am I right?
Wait a minute. Oh,
And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just was thinking because I know she always say, "Oh, he's better at cooking. He's better at baths. He's better at
mm,
this." And I'm just like, "Well, dang." Now that you're saying it, I'm telling you, like, I'm sorry. I was just thinking about it as you
now
were saying. I'm
you're
like,
fine. You
because I just
yeah.
thought about it. She made it seem like, "Oh, he's just good at everything." I was like, "Wait a minute. Is
Okay.
he good
So
at
maybe she's
everything?" Or
beating herself up because maybe she feels like she's not doing this right. She doesn't know what she's doing. And every time she does it, she may feel like she's failing, right? They again, because they're not used to her, they probably cry, they probably act out more. They don't, you feel what I'm saying? It may look
hmm
like when he does it, they cooperate. When I do it, they just all over the place. I can't get this right. I'm a failure as a mother. That could be part of what's going through her brain too.
okay,
But again, that is
okay,
depression.
okay, okay. Well, I just needs to know.
No, that's good. That's good. Thank you for coming.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Um, so I know I had some people enter the room. We're talking about resentment after marriage. I mean, resentment in marriage after kids. But I also said it doesn't have to be in marriage. It can just be resentment, period, after kids, right? And so whether it's the female doing all the work or the male doing all the work, um, and the other person is feeling like they're not getting the person is not pulling their weight in the relationship or helping with the kids. And so then resentment builds up and anger and frustration and things like that because we're not getting our needs met. So thank you for joining me. I see some people jumped in here. But thank you for coming up. That was good. Because I think a lot of times maybe I don't know. It's so many variables to this thing, right? I'm not doing it the way my mother did it. I'm not doing it the way my grandmother did it. So evidently, I'm not doing it right. Or if you came from a critical home or a critical environment, right, where you never felt like you did anything right anyway, you're just continuing to perpetuate that in your mind of, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'll get out the way and let them do it because oh they do it so right. They figure this out. They got this down pat. They don't need me. And so um that could be part of it. And like I said, it also sounds like depression. But depression is literally like it's staying in your mind saying those things, right? And so if you're constantly in your mind telling yourself these things, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing it right, oh I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just so terrible, I can't get up, you're gonna go deeper into a depression, right? Instead of realizing like nobody has this thing figured out. Like there's no one way to do anything. There's no one way to parent. There's no one way to raise kids. There's no one way to wash dishes. There's no one way to give a bath and things like that. So, and I think that again, we have been really, especially black and brown people, we really got what's the word? I guess we really got the short end of the stick because we saw Big Mama and them do it a certain way. And it looks so effortlessly. They did it. They made it work. The house clean, the kids clean, the dinner on the table when the husband come home from work, and they raised the children and they did all of these things and they made it look like it was not a big deal, but it was. Because if you really think back and look on it, a lot of them really were having nervous breakdowns. I just want you to be honest. A lot of them were breaking down. They just couldn't verbalize that. They couldn't stop. Because if they stopped, how was it going to get done? If they stopped, who's going to do it? Right? We just didn't see it like that. We saw them as strong and independent. Oh my God. They kept the family together. Baby, they were barely holding on to their life. And so I think a lot of times we take that on and think that we're doing it wrong. And men look at their grandmothers and them, I don't know about today, their mothers and their grandmothers and um and saw how the women took care of everything and just expect when they go into a relationship that that's going to continue. This woman is going to be that person like my mother was, like my grandmother was. No, you absolutely right. Please don't add menopause. Please, that's a whole different. But you understand also that's why they had like no nonsense rules. They had to because we would have been man. Come on now, they had to. No, sit down, be quiet, shut up. Because at this point, everybody gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Like even your granddaddy gonna get it if I don't get some peace. And so they had to set them rules so that they could function. You think about chaos today, them, they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have made it. And yes, we have to come and say we have to give ourselves grace. We do. But we also have to understand that it's so important. And this is for you who said give each other grace because you're one of those people who talks about the village all the time. Again, we have to get back to the village of helping each other. I want to say especially women, but I want to say all people at this point because it's so many people alone or feel alone. And again, I use my example when I moved to Georgia by myself. Like literally, I'm like, how do I do this? What am I doing? I checked out. So I see how people check out because when you don't know what to do, you're gonna just kind of just do what you do and hope it work out for the best. I thank God for Jesus. I'm just gonna say because He really He raised them kids. Do you hear me? So I think that we have to get back to the village. We have to um, create spaces. safe spaces for women and men to feel heard. Um, Maybe even start back the type of potluck type things. I know we can't eat for everybody food, but the potluck type of things where the community comes together and feed each other during the week, or um, it's almost like we need the community centers back, if that makes sense. Like a place where you can come in and the kids can play and the parents can sit over there and have some adult conversations, and you can eat and you can help with homework, and then they can go home and bath and things like that. We have to get back. I believe that the way the world is going right now and the things that's happening, the shifting in the climate politically, and we're going to eventually get back there. I think that's why a lot of people now are going to buy land again and building the compounds and things like that. Like we are going to have to get back to helping each other, um, men and women, helping each other and giving them a space and a voice where they can verbalize and vocalize their needs, right? And don't feel so alone. I see men all the time, and I'm like, why, young men, why don't these older gentlemen stop and have a conversation with them? Why don't they stop and pull them to the side and teach them something, right? Give them, impart some wisdom into them. Yes, I know we always say they don't listen. They may not, but I believe in planting the tree, planting the seed. Somebody else may water it. I just have to plant it, right? So I appreciate all of you. This has been good tonight. I enjoyed it. Again, we are here every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Mm, Again, this is the Restoration Lounge after hours with Dr. K. If there's resentment in your relationship, it doesn't automatically mean the relationship is broken. It may mean something has gone unspoken for too long. Awareness creates the opportunity to repair. Remember that. Awareness creates the opportunity to repair. So, guess what, everybody? I will see you next week right here in the lounge. Have a good night.